You're listening to the Scandalous Beauty Podcast, a makeup and beauty show hosted by Erin Bainham. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode, the official first episode of the Scandalous Beauty Podcast show. Today, we're going to talk beauty in a couple of different ways. We're going to talk skincare and we're going to talk Sam Fine, the makeup artist, living legend. So if you didn't get to listen to the teaser episode, my name is Erin Bainham. I have been a beauty blogger since 2005. I actually quit beauty blogging in 2015, and I thought I had it all out of my system, but I don't. So my husband suggested that instead of doing what I used to do, why don't I switch things up and talk beauty in a podcast? And that made total sense to me. I have a marketing, content creation, branding podcast already called Upgrade Your Influence, and he suggested I try talking beauty in the same way. So it made total sense to me, and I decided to start this podcast. So from time to time, I'm going to post the entire podcast episodes on Facebook and on YouTube. So if that's where you're listening, welcome. Now, it's fine if you're listening there, but since every episode won't be updated, the best way to get all of this beauty content is to follow Scandalous Beauty on your favorite podcast player. So Scandalous Beauty will be available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play as of right now. Things might change. I might not keep the podcast up on everything yet. This is like the experimental, phase. So for now, it'll be up on all those places. So all you have to do to subscribe, you just need to subscribe one place, really, if you choose. You can go down to the About This Video section if you are watching on YouTube, or look at the comments if you're watching this on Facebook, and I'll have all the links available so you can get these podcast episodes downloaded and sent directly to you as soon as they come out. Now, if you want more direct links and want to know more about products mentioned and links mentioned and highlights from the show, you can come on over to the show notes at scandalousbeautyonline.com. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Erin Bainham, and I'm also on YouTube and Facebook at Scandalous Beauty. So for today's What I'm Trying segment, I want to talk a little bit about skincare. So, we're accustomed to the, cleanse, tone, moisturize regimen. That's basically what we are groomed to do. And those are like the 3 essential steps. And then after a while, you learn, well, you should use an eye cream or maybe a serum, or you should spot treat, your blemishes using this or that. Well, over the last few days, I have learned so much about Korean skincare. And K-beauty it's a huge phenomenon. It's been making its way over, I think, really like around 2008, but I think it got really big and interesting back in like 2012 or so. So this skincare regimen seems to average around 10 products. Out of control, unbelievable. But once you start to see like the videos that I was watching and listen to the background, oh man, it's mind-boggling, seriously. So there are a couple of differences that are really intriguing, and this is kind of why I wanted to find out more about K-beauty. So what we believe for the most part in this culture is that you're supposed to use a toner that is basically like an astringent, right? It gets all that, like the gunk and the extra stuff out and deep cleans and all that. Well, in K-beauty, toners are moisturizers. They're either kind of liquidy, more like water texture, to a slightly gel-like consistency. And they're used to actually put more moisture in your skin. So you use that pretty much after your cleanser, which is really interesting. So I had to restructure the way I thought about toners. They also have a double cleansing method where they wash with a balm or an oil cleanser first, and then they'll do like a foamy water-based cleanser after that. So that's different. They also have different regimens for day and for night. So using a sheet mask is part of the regimen. So you wouldn't do a sheet mask during the day and during the night from what I've read so far and seen so far. But using that sheet mask is a big portion of your regimen, and that's like a 30-minute thing. And buying sheet masks can get expensive since they start off, depending on where you are. Sephora is selling them for like $6 a piece, which is a lot if you wanted to wear them every day or every few, days in a week, 2 or 3 times a week. But I'm fortunate enough to live in a county with a very high Asian population, and there are lots of stores here that have masks for sale that start at like $1 to about $3. So I'm gonna try a few. I'll be doing reviews sooner rather than later, most likely on the YouTube channel Scandalous Beauty, but I will also do a full in-depth episode breaking down all 10 steps of this K-beauty regimen, and that'll be coming up soon. More than anything, I just wanted to make sure I had all my research down. So I am currently reading The Little Book of Skincare, Korean Beauty Secrets for Healthy, Glowing Skin by Charlotte Cho, who is also the founder of Soko Glam, which is an online Korean beauty store. So once I read that and I really nail down my regimen, I'm going to give you guys my first impressions, let you know what I'm thinking and how I'm enjoying the skincare, and then I'll follow up and do some monthly updates with how my skin is looking and responding to the skincare. So last Thursday, right before Scandal came on, Sam Fine got on Facebook Live. He also did an Instagram Live after that. I'm not sure what else he did that night, but he came on to answer questions and to just talk beauty with his followers. So what we found out after a while, I think he was on for about an hour, and you can find the link to watch the entire hour on my in the show notes, scandalousbeautyonline.com. He basically came on to say that he was hosting a masterclass. It's open to 25 people in New York City, and it's a hands-on masterclass. So part of the class is him doing his demo. The other part is you doing a demo on a model from what you've learned. And then the cool part, the really, really cool part, is that you will be able to have your work photographed by a celebrity photographer. So let me just break down how this works. For $2,000, it might be over 2,000, it might be 2,500. I got to look into that, but it's definitely at least $2,000. You get a 4-hour demo from Sam, and it says, Fine performs his signature makeup demonstration where he sets the record straight on all makeup fundamentals, gracefully grooming eyebrows, creating a flawless foundation, contouring and highlighting, false lash application with strips and individual lashes, and selecting lip colors in both neutral and dramatic shades, and much, much more. Now, Sam Fine's DVD is still available. And Sam Fine's DVD is $25 worth of magic. He does a demo on 3 women, I believe. Being able to see him live, I've watched him do makeup live before at Mac in Harlem, like years and years ago. That was the first time I actually interviewed him. And he's fantastic. I mean, he really goes into great detail explaining, and he does not hold back. I don't think he's one of those people that has secrets and doesn't tell you because he's scared they're going to steal it. I mean, he's got his signature look down. So he really just wants to groom you as an artist. And I had a great time at his class. I learned so much. And so yeah, let's just break down what else happens. Okay, so after lunch, you get the hands-on application, and it says that's from 1:30 to 4:30. Attendees will practice new techniques learned during class, while Fine observes and assists each artist towards completing their finished look. And that right there is going to be the bulk of the money, because imagine having this makeup legend walk over to you and say, that looks great, but if I could just suggest that you tweak it this way, and that right there could change your entire outlook on how you do makeup and what your clients get when they book you. So that's really, really awesome. 4 to 6 p.m., you do the photo shoot, and it says each model will be photographed by a professional beauty photographer, allowing each artist to document their work and evaluate their artistry. And you're going to get a jump drive, and it's going to contain the unretouched model images, and that comes as part of the fee. And then from 6 to 7 is a review Q&A, and it says Sam Fine will evaluate each artist's work and take questions from attendees. Fine will also discuss varying facets of the makeup industry, including standards, establishing and improving current rates, career opportunities, etc., etc. And then at 7, each artist will be awarded a certificate of completion. So I'm not affiliated with this class in any way. I'm really just sharing the information because I think it's such a phenomenal opportunity. I think this is one of those once in a lifetime opportunities. I don't know how often Sam will be doing these classes. I don't know if he will be traveling to do these classes, but there are 25 spots available. And if you are able to get one of those 25, if you've got the money, I say go for it. And this might be that investment where I'm not telling you to take out loans and pay interest or any of that kind of stuff, but I totally understand why someone would do that. This is an absolute investment in your career. People pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college for 4 years to get their career going and to have, the receipts for why they should be hired and why they have the career that they have. And I totally understand why somebody would pay to go to the Sam Fine class. So that's just the details on the class. Now let's talk about some of the things that Sam addressed in his Facebook Live video. So you can take notes now, or you can come over to scandalousbeautyonline.com. I will have highlights from this entire session, and you can watch the session right there. The link is there. All right. So here's some of the things I learned from Sam during the Facebook Live video. 1, Sam still loves cream foundation. It is his go-to foundation. He said people would ask, what's the best foundation on the market and what should we have? And he basically suggests learning to take a foundation and to make the foundation do what you need it to do. So his suggestions: Black Opal Stick Foundation. He's been talking about it for years. He is ride or die for this Black Opal Stick Foundation. He suggests the CoverGirl Queen Foundation. Kogan Doe has foundations as well that are really great. He said it doesn't have a wide range of color for women of color, but it's still really, really well done. Dermablend and AJ Crimson's cream foundations. And he said while some of them are, thick and people get a little nervous because they're thicker foundations and they feel like it adds too much pigment to the skin, he's like, you got to be able to learn and adapt and make these work for you. You're an artist and you can make them work. So that was the first thing that was really interesting to me. Second, when he talked about powder, he explained that he doesn't like to use oil controlling powders. He really likes to work with the skin, and the oil is fine. He just works with it. He also says he does not use translucent powders, which kind of surprised me a little bit. We're all, pretty much taught to have one kind of nearby just in case, and they're universal since they're colorless, but he is always nervous about the white cast that they can leave. So he loves powders with color, pigmented powders. He prefers pressed powders over anything. So he said some of his favorites are from Yves Saint Laurent, Ben Nye, and Iman's luxury pressed powders. He loves them. And a lot of times, he says it's not about him having particular shades. It's more of mixing and creating his own shades to work with everybody's skin. And as an artist, he says that's something you should be able to do. Now, somebody brought up highlighting and contouring, and I thought this was fun. So he starts it off by saying, look, y'all know, and then he goes into it. So I love that because the way that beauty is changing, it's like you can't scroll Instagram without seeing somebody that is heavily using highlighter and contouring. I mean, they make it very, very prominent nowadays, and you really can't find a tutorial out there without seeing a heavy highlight and contour. So he says highlighting and contouring is all about the basics. So it's not about making the face slimmer, but if you want to, you should do it in a more subtle way. So you should not have an obvious highlight and contour. Your face should not obviously be dark around the perimeter and light right in the middle, is basically what he's getting at. I love Sam because he says things so gently and so beautifully, where some of us want to say, y'all know y'all doing too much. And he says, you should do it more subtly. I'm like, that's nice. That's really great. So one thing he suggests is using pressed powder or bronzer around the edge of the face very softly. And you can see him do this in his DVD. And you can also see him, he's got some clips up on his YouTube channel. So if you want to find that, you can dive in. Good stuff. I'm telling you, if you don't have the DVD, order it now. Like, stop whatever you're doing, pull over, whatever, order the DVD. And he says highlighting and contouring is not about watching other people doing it and then stamping that look on your face. It's all about personalizing it to your own face and making it work for your own bone structure. Okay, under eye concealer. He stresses here getting the DVD because he does do a great job with talking about concealer. And it's a technique that is very, very light. It's more time consuming. So it's not like slap on a bunch of concealer and blend. He's very, very, very softly pats on the concealer and he blends out and he fans it out. That's what he says. And it's beautifully done. It's absolutely, I don't want to say flawless, but that's what it is. I mean, it's undetectable. He says not to focus so much on brightness and discoloration. And that is another thing. So I'll just leave you to find the clip. It's a good clip. Somebody says, can you still look great with drugstore products? And he's like, absolutely. He loves his L'Oreal mascaras and he absolutely lives for CoverGirl Queen foundation. The CoverGirl Queen collection. So if you were looking for drugstore products that work, Sam Fine uses that on his celebrity clients. Another question was about how to make your foundation last longer. And one of the things that I loved the most from his DVD was watching him use the tissue method to blot foundation. So basically what he does is he takes a 2-ply tissue and he pulls it apart so that it's only a 1-ply tissue at that point. And then he gently uses his fingers, places the tissue on the face, and blots off excess foundation. So you don't have a whole bunch of stuff just sitting on your face. I mean, it makes the foundation look so much more natural and livable, and it looks more like skin rather than product sitting on the skin. And that is something that we can all apply to our regimen right now. He also suggests setting the center of your face with powder and just kind of subtly matting that out, and then leaving the perimeter of your face lighter and not as powdered down. So he might lightly powder the perimeter of the face, but more than that, he just likes to let that be radiant, and that is another thing that you might want to try. And the last thing that I'm going to mention that he talked about was networking in real life. So social media is of course a huge part of marketing yourself and getting your name out there and getting recognition. But he also talks about going into places and saying, hey, I noticed you don't have a resident makeup artist. Would you mind if I were here a day a week for a few hours and I could do makeup application for people? So he mentions salons and theaters and a few other places to just go in and get your feet wet and have real women that you can practice on. So again, I only brought up a few things that Sam talked about in the Facebook Live session. So I suggest watching the entire hour because I can't imagine how much more he went into. I mean, he really went down deep in the basics. And if you are interested in his masterclass, it's an Eventbrite link, and it's a little long. So if I were you, I would just Google Sam Fine hands-on masterclass. It comes right up. That's how I found it. So I would highly suggest you get the DVD, read as many videos, watch as many videos, read as many articles as you can, learn what you can from Sam, because he is awesome. Alrighty, that's it for episode 1. Thank you guys so much for joining me. You can find the show notes for this episode at scandalousbeautyonline.com. I would also just ask, if possible, that you could leave a review and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. The more ratings and comments that we get and subscriptions that we get, the more people find the podcast when they're searching for new cool things to listen to. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you for the next episode very soon. Peace.